Weeks after the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Ibrahim Muhammad, was angered by conflicting orders from courts of coordinate jurisdiction, issued a stern warning to judges on the need to act right in the nation's interest. It appears an end is not in sight yet to the impunity of some of the judges and justices in the country. Unfortunately, the unsavory disposition of some of the justices and judges to democratic concerns have continued to disseminate the gains of the nation's 23 years of unbroken civil rule. Even when they know fully well that they lack the jurisdiction to entertain the matter, they still go ahead to hear and pronounce ruling, which becomes an albatross on the neck of the party it was obtained against. The submission of a majority of the people is that if the trend persisted, the Fourth Republic, which prides itself as the longest in the history of Nigerian democracy, might come to an abrupt end, going by the recent activities of desperate politicians and their cohorts in the judiciary. One of the recent indicators so this unending judicial rascality could be located in how some individuals has rushed to the court to stop the forthcoming National Convention of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) and the manner the courts have been encouraging the resort to destabilization. The National Convention Organizing Committee (NCOC) of the PDP raised the alarm about a suit filed at the Kaduna High Court, ostensibly to derail the October 30th and 31st National Convention, and advise party members to be wary of such disgruntled and misguided members of the party. Although details of the suit have remained sketchy, it was allegedly filed by an aide to a former Vice President, Nnamdi Sambo, but the aide said to be close to Secondus has however denied having anything to do with the suit. Secretary of the NCOC and Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde said notwithstanding their right to approach a court of competent jurisdiction to air their grievances, we maintain that the National Executive Committee (NEC) of the PDP has acted in good faith in fixing our convention for October 30th and 31st. It is not meant to winch hunt anyone or to truncate anyone's mandate. Therefore, we call on all members and supporters of the PDP to ignore this distraction as we prepare to host a convention that will send a clear signal to Nigerians that the PDP is the only party that has the will and the mind to rescue Nigeria from the catastrophe that we have been enduring for the past 6 years. But Secondus had, through his lawyer Mr. Tayo Uyetiba San, asked the PDP to shelve the planned convention slated for October 30th and 31st, pending the determination of Secondus' appeal. The appeal with the number CA/PH/341/2021 is seeking to quash his suspension and applied for an order of injunction restraining the People's Democratic Party, the 6 respondents hearing, whether by itself or its officers, servants, agents, or respectives, from holding or conducting its national convention scheduled for 30th and 31st October 2021 or any other date pending the hearing and final determination of this appeal. The hearing of the appeal as well as the motion for interlocutory injunction comes up today, Tuesday, October 26th, at the Port Harcourt Division of the Court of Appeal. Whether the appellant court will accede to the demand or not is another, particularly taking into consideration the recent position of appellant court justices with respect to expert granted by High Court judges. It is worthy of mention that the appellant court and even the Supreme Court had descended heavily on the High Court judges, particularly in the Anambra governorship suit. Justice Choma Onwusu-Iheme of the Court of Appeal had, in a ruling on August 2nd, in the All Progressive Grand Alliance APGA governorship tussle, called for sanction against 2 judges in the Jigawa and Imo State High Court for what she described as professional misconduct. She also called for sanction for lawyers who aided politicians in the filing of all such applications that had brought the court to ridicule. Similarly, Justice Hama Zamani in Kano Division of the Court of Appeal had on August 10 in his judgment set aside the judgment of the Jigawa State High Court, which had earlier declared Jude Okeke and Chukwuma Umweje as the APGA national chairman and governorship candidate respectively. The appellant court claimed that the trial court erred by entertaining a suit where it lacked jurisdiction. The Supreme Court, also in a judgment on October 14, 2021, upheld the decision of Justice Zamani of the Kano Division of the Appeal Court for nullifying the judgment of the High Court for want of jurisdiction. The Apex Court, in a unanimous judgment, held that the internal issues of political parties was outside the jurisdiction of the court and consequently upheld the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which resolved the leadership tussle in APGA in favor of Victor Oye and also upheld the primary election conducted by his leadership, which produced Professor Chukwuma Soludo as APGA's governorship candidate for the November 6th governorship election. Soludo was nominated candidate of the APGA in the forthcoming governorship pool by the Oye faction, and his nomination was accepted by INEC, but Okeke challenged the authenticity of Oye's leadership at the Federal High Court in Jigawa State, where judgment was given in his favor. However, the Jigawa judgment was set aside by the appeal court, leading him to proceed to the Apex Court to overturn the appellant court's decision. The 7-member panel of the Apex Court, in the judgment delivered by Justice Mary Odili, held that it was clear that the appellant engaged in abuse of judicial process because the subject matter of the suit was not justiciable as it bordered on the internal matters of a political party. While the panel berated lawyers to the appellant for engaging in unethical conduct by filing such suit in the first place, it blamed the Jigawa High Court judge for accepting to hear the suit that was outside his jurisdiction. The panel went on to slam a fine of 1 million naira against the appellant for abuse of court processes. Aside the judges, the umbrella body for lawyers, the Nigerian Bar Association (NBA), had also condemned the development and promised to deal with lawyers engaging in acts capable of bringing the judiciary to disrepute. A statement by its national president in September, Mr. Olamide Akpata, described as unfortunate the recurring trend of contradictory court orders, especially amongst courts of coordinate jurisdiction. He cited the recent case involving the Anambra State forthcoming election and the PDP leadership crisis, which according to him evokes memories of those airy and unwanted dark days. While the NBA will continue to stay away from the political ramifications and mechanizations involved in these matters, it is evident that these developments in our courts are anti-ethical to the actualization of just society and independent judiciary that will aspire to, and they run contrary to everything we teach and hold dear as a profession. While it is difficult to comprehend what will make a judge assume jurisdiction in a case he knew he lacked any, the level of condemnation and fines against politicians and their lawyers by the appellant and Supreme Courts have yet to abate the obnoxious situation in the judiciary.